In some cases, you might select one method, one particular method, one well-known method to do the same research, or not to use the same method to do that research. Any case, you have to tell the reasons why you stick to that method, that approach, why you did the same research using the same method, or why you didn't use the same method to do the same research again. Okay, you should tell the readers the reasons of adapting or rejecting a particular method. Let's look at some cliches. A case study approach was used. Why? Because I'm gonna allow something. I'm gonna do something and it made it possible. Using the case study approach made it possible. Qualitative methods offer an effective way. Qualitative methods were used. Why? Because they offer an effective way of doing something here. A quantitative approach was employed. Why? Since there was something here. The design of the questionnaires was based on something. Why did you do that? You can tell the reasons at the end. The X method is one of the most practical ways of doing something. Since that method is one of the most practical ways, I'm just using that method. Okay. The semi-structured approach was chosen. Why? Because they help me, or they let me ask my own questions as well. If it is structured, then I can't ask my own questions. I have to ask this only the questions written on the questionnaire, on the interview checklist. But semi-structure let me free to do something. The X approach has a number of attractive features. I use this approach because it has some attractive features, and you can list the features here at the end. The second advantage of using the multivariate method is that I have talked about one of them, the first one, and this is the second one. Maybe the third one is coming later. And these all show that I'm gonna stick to this method. I'm gonna use this method because I'm talking about its actually benefits, advantages. I'm gonna justify the use of this method. For this study, the X was used to explore the subsurface of something. Why? You can tell the readers. The main disadvantage of experimental method is that I'm not gonna use this method. Why? Because it has disadvantage. It was decided that the best method to adopt for this investigation was to do something, and you can tell the reasons. Okay? You can tell the reasons at the end. Or you can tell the reasons in the beginning. Doesn't matter where to put your reasons. It matters you should justify your selection or your rejection. The study uses qualitative analysis in order to gain insights into something. This means that qualitative analysis made it possible, or makes it possible. But for example, quantitative analysis does not make it possible. It was considered that quantitative measures would usefully supplement and extend the something here. Many of the distributions were not normal, so non-parametric signed rank tests were run. Why did I use non-parametric tests? Because the distributions were not normal. Okay, if they were normal, what should I use? Parametric ones. One advantage of the X is that it avoids the problem of something, and that is the reason why I'm using this method. The sensitivity of the X technique has been demonstrated in a report by Smith et al. Okay. However, there are certain drawbacks associated with the use of that technique, that method. So I decided not to use that technique. A major problem with the experimental method is that this means that although I use this method, it has some problems. One of them is this. So if you use a well-known or previously published method, you should tell the readers why. If you use your own method, not the previously published method, again you should tell the readers why. As I said before, you should have a sentence, and for each and every sentence you should have a logic behind it. Specifically, in the methodology section, you should be logical, much more than it is thought to be. You should be logical. You should have actually a reliable, a convincing reason behind every selection, behind doing and not doing everything. Okay, that's the reason why methodology section will differentiate you from others. That's the reason why the methodology section is very important, specifically on the eye of me. For example, if I'm gonna hire a person, a researcher for my company, for the university as a staff, as a researcher, I will check his thesis, his dissertation, his research, specifically the methodology section, because it is gonna distinguish you from others. It is gonna help you stand out and shine. Okay? It is gonna tell the readers that you are a genius.